live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Loungetime. I'm your host, Goat Brady, and today we got. Oh, you thought we were done Super Bowl Sunday? No, I told you we gonna bring Johan back. Cause guess what, Q bandwagon? We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. No, we're not done.
Oh no,
And
we're just getting started.
To get into because this is part 2. Oh, your epic treatment that you guys definitely deserve after putting up insufferable amount of terrible takes, and you're still doing it. So if you're still doing it, we're gonna still celebrate the downfall. But anyway,
you bandwagons are gonna get exactly what you deserve right now.
Now let me go for the proper introduction. Anyway, I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today is a great lounge time. Once again, the second time we're doing a Chiefs bandwagons downfall celebration. I've got Lounge Time's #1 fan with me. He wanted to come down. My man Pat Davenport, my Johan. What's up, big guy?
Rich Saile, my man, lounge time.
All right, so here's how we're going to do this. First, before we get into what we're going to say to you. Chief bandwagons, let's go over the props, shall we? You need to cry. We got this for you, tissue box. Okay. We need to spread this horrible take out the window. The brooms. Get out the way. And then, you really thought you were gonna get a three-peat, and you all want to take and you want to bring your terrible takes. Here's your garbage bags for all the terrible Mahomes takes, all the three-peat aspirations. It's going in this garbage bag. Get that shit out of here.
And Taylor Swift's in the garbage bag too.
Yeah, I mean, yep, that too. I mean, I am done with this stuff. I've seen the takes all over Twitter. I've even gone on Twitter and voiced my opinions, and I know names. I've got names for how bad these apologists and stuff like that. But we've got ours. This is our day today, Pat. So let's go over the Super Bowl a little bit, right? So overall, let's go by the grand scheme of the game itself. Before we get into his legacy, what we really want to say to the Chief bandwagons on the game itself. What was your big takeaways from this game as to how the Eagles dominated the Chiefs?
Well, my takeaway is that the Eagles completely dominated the Chiefs. Completely. I mean, there was no question about it. Last time I saw a team being dominated like this in a Super Bowl was 4 years ago.
Yes.
When you bandwagons and your Chiefs were dominated by Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes.
It was almost the same thing, except this was an even bigger beating. It was an even better beating. It was a beatdown of epic proportions.
Yes.
Once again, your little Patrick Mahomes, the baby goat, looked like a high school player for a bad high school team. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he looked like. Mm-hmm. The domination was supreme.
Yeah. I know you and I had discussed before this game that we were a little bit cautious with how you had mentioned to me the spread was so low at -1.5. Now, I remember telling you this as well, that John Madden's famous quote before the Patriots-Rams Super Bowl before Tom Brady's dynasty was, sometimes the best team doesn't always win. So when I put 2 and 2 together, I go, Vegas really knew Eagles were pretty much a talented roster that could match Kansas City. But in my mind, I say to myself, well, Kansas City went 15-2 during the regular season. I would argue from what the past pedigree was, could you say Kansas City had the better team, or do you think Philly top to bottom roster?
No. You know what? When you say John Madden said sometimes the best team doesn't always win, in this Super Bowl, the best team did win.
And that's the Eagles?
Yeah, the Eagles were the best team. They were the way better team. Listen, Kansas City was a good team this year.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't deserve to be 15-2. If you ask me, they should probably have been more like 13-4. There were a couple of games that definitely got thrown by the refs for them. And you know what? They would have ended up in the Super Bowl anyway.
Yeah.
More than likely. Yeah. Although it was questionable what happened in the AFC Championship game this year. But you know what? Allen looked nervous. Josh Allen didn't look like he really was up to snuff. I'm not going to say that the Chiefs didn't deserve that win, but in the Super Bowl, they were nowhere near the better team. They were dominated in every way, shape, and form, and they were exposed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People were praising them, for how great they were, and yeah, they were a good team. But you know what? How many good defenses did they really run up against this year?
Do you count Denver, that one meeting? Do you count the Chargers in the?
Well, I don't count that Denver Week 18 game.
Well, no, I don't either.
That wasn't the Chiefs.
I was telling you that when you and I talked about that game during live, off camera, like Week 18. But I'm saying like when they actually played, like Week 10, Denver held them to what I think it was 17 points. Chargers held them to a pretty low amount, right? I'm trying to think of like really good defenses. I mean,
they didn't meet up with any overpowering, dominating defenses.
No, not
really. And the few close games that I remember seeing, the refs threw it for them, taking the Cincinnati game. I think it was week 4 or 5, and the following week, whatever week it was, with the Falcons.
2 and 3.
They didn't deserve either one of them games.
Yep, 2 and 3.
Okay, and they were close games that got thrown by bad calls.
Yep. Yep.
Which is par for the course with this team. But you brought up the point spread.
Yes.
When the championship games were over and we knew who was in the Super Bowl, my heart sank because I was like, can I curse?
I mean, I curse on this
These
show.
motherfuckers are going to fucking get this. They're going to win the three-peat. It's going to be a close game like it was 2 years ago with these same two teams by 3 points, and the refs are going to make just enough bad calls to throw it. They're going to win.
That's what we were both saying.
Okay? The only time I had hope, the day before the game, when I called you about this, when I looked at that point spread, because I was thinking it's got to be 3.5, right? Because it was a 3-point game 2 years ago. Same head coaches, same quarterbacks, mostly the same rosters.
Yeah,
mostly.
Philly's offense, outside of like Saquon Barkley, maybe a few offensive linemen.
Mostly the same two teams
right,
playing each other. And I'm like, it was a 3-point game. This is America's little darlings, okay? I can't see it being any less than 3.5. A field goal with the half-point hook on it to make some people maybe go the other way.
Yep.
When I saw 1.5 points, I said something's wrong. Because these odds makers don't want to gamble. And it's like they're begging you. It was almost like I could see them on their hands and knees. Please take the Kansas City Chiefs. That's when I started to think something's wrong here, and it might go our way. I didn't know it was going to go our way that bad.
Yeah. The only I don't think you and I expected them to dominate
I didn't expect that.
The only thing that made me have hope is that and I thought about this a little bit. I was like, the Eagles have a similar front to what Tampa had. They're fast. I saw that stat I told you too. I was reading off those numbers off an Instagram post I read, which I sent to my friends on one of our college shows on the radio, Bronx on Broad. They're going for an IBS nominee. I hope those guys win. But they're basically a Philly sports show. And I sent my buddy this post. I'm like, I didn't know this was actually a real stat. And I was like, okay, in the Dome, they're built for speed. They have a similar front. I would argue maybe a better back end than Tampa did. I'm thinking, maybe, just maybe, they have a chance. And Vic Fangio has slowed Mahomes down. But the numbers scared me at 0-8. I was like, I don't know, but I'm like, Philly is a much talented team than he had in those Denver years and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, they have a chance. My worry was Jalen Hurts going to be able to beat them throwing the ball? Because Saquon Barkley, I said in the pregame that Spags is going to load 7, 8, 9 in the box on Barkley. I was even telling you that on the phone.
Yeah, you did.
And I was like, Jalen Hurts is going to have to win this game throwing. Well, he did.
He did.
He did. And so I think,
And he used his feet, too.
yeah, he had some runs on
Yeah.
him. So, like,
He was the better quarterback. He was the better quarterback by far. And you know, Patrick Mahomes, he gets a lot of praise, and a lot of it is legitimate. A lot of it is just totally unfounded.
Yep.
He fell apart when a real defense came after him. He fell apart. He fell apart like he came apart at the seams. You know what? He's not as great as all you bandwagons think he is.
Well, we're going to save that. I want to strictly talk about this game. I think, too, I want to bring up this point, too. Last time these two teams met, Kansas City was much better in scoring offense. They were much down this year.
You
right?
talking Super Bowl 2 years ago?
Yes, I'm saying comparing the two right now, right? So Kansas City was top scoring offense 2 years ago, much down this past Super Bowl. The Eagles were the number one defense 2 years ago, but I think the difference was 2 years ago versus now. As I think when I watched the Eagles 2 years ago, I felt like that defense with Jonathan Gannon as a coordinator, he was that unit was very overrated. They hadn't played really an offense explosive as Kansas City.
Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they hung 35 points on Kansas City.
No, but I'm talking about like the other teams, like like the Niners. They had a fourth string backup in right at that game. The Giants, Daniel Jones. It was just a magic carpet ride. I'm talking about like that Eagles team 2 years ago, defensively, how they weren't really as good as people thought that year.
You mean like during that season?
During that season, yeah, that's what I mean. 2 years ago, I'm talking. This season, they did a pretty good job against Green Bay opening round, although the Green Bay was kind of slumping on the end. The Rams, they pretty much made the key plays. I know the Rams almost made it a game, and they were this close to kind of, forcing overtime or taking the lead in that
the
game.
defense shut Washington down, too, in the championship game. And
Well,
Washington looked good.
Yeah, and the turnovers really kind of are what dug them in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But Jaden Daniels actually played pretty good.
There goes that Eagles defense.
But I feel like, even some of the games before, like when I look at the Baltimore game, Lamar Jackson was a league MVP candidate. He didn't look that good against that Eagles defense. I mean, Pittsburgh, obviously not a great offense, but they held them in check really both meetings, right? So I look at, they held them, they held Pittsburgh in check, right? I mean, Washington was really the one game they slipped up on the end, but I said after that game, you could argue that loss was actually what they needed more than riding high into the playoffs, feeling like they're unbeatable. And it kind of helped them, I felt like, in a way, that Washington game on the end. I'm trying to think of like the great offenses the really good offenses that they versed. But my bottom line is that, their running game was just so potent that you don't really see teams rely so much on the running back stuff. It hasn't been that way since the 80s, 90s a lot.
Oh, the 90s, there was a lot of running back stuff. That's when I first started watching football.
Yeah, so like I look at like the Eagles' identity change because they were throwing 2 years ago with A.J. Brown first being there. Devontae Smith was a second-year player. And Jalen Hurts actually could, he had looked really good as far as passing mechanics. He looked really good throwing the ball 2 years ago. This game, I was a little concerned because I felt like he regressed from 23 season. They started out great, they fall apart. Felt like something was, missing. And Kellen Moore comes in, and he's really known for throwing more, not really running. Well, Kellen Moore was able to shift this year with Saquon Barkley coming in there. That offensive line, with an all-pro center being gone and Jason Kelce, the fact that they were just able to pick everything up, like they didn't miss a beat, that was really impressive too.
Yeah, the whole thing was impressive.
Yeah.
The whole thing was impressive. They were just fantastic on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about a little bit of the lowlights. I'm going to get a little bit to the point where like you and I thought like this actually might be the game that they actually might win this game. And we're going to pull it up quickly. So second quarter, 8 minutes and 38 seconds left. This was probably the drive that just you and I were like, wow.
10-0 Philly at this point.
Yeah. And Kelce doesn't even block here.
Boom.
He just
Sacked.
he just lets him get like he just absolutely let him beat him. Now watch again, right? Okay, he's beat there, goes inside, swims through the back.
Sacked again. 2 sacks in a row.
Yep. So like Mahomes is trying to step up. They're like, no. And then the one time he does get out, right here,
comes.
18. Nope.
Interception,
And the safety's
baby.
like playing down.
And he's running it in for the pick 6, and you bandwagons are crying.
I was like so hyped after this. I mean, I kid you not. Like
That was when that was the beginning of the end.
Yep. I mean, I
the
felt
second quarter.
that was the first time in that game where I was like, holy cow, there is hope that they actually
There was hope. The 10-0, I was like, I seen the Chiefs come back from this plenty of times.
Yep.
They start out slow like that, and the next thing you know, they're up on you by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They saw that pick after 2 sacks in a row, and then the pick 6.
Yep.
Gonna go up 17-0. That's when it was like, yeah, the GOAT conversation's probably coming to an end soon.
So, all right, so now we're about minute 49. Eagles just had a punt, I feel like, at this point. So now, right now, this is about his own 8-yard line.
He's thrown out of the end zone. Picked off again in the red zone.
And this is like, when he, like,
Yeah.
and right here, like, again, like, he just kind of like he's kind of like going like this weird angle, but that's an athletic play by Bond. I mean, you know, that's, I think, Hollywood Brown, right? And then the next play, right, drag, yep, you got picked, and
Boom.
sneak right
In the end zone.
Yep, this was 24-0 right after the pick.
24-0 before the half ends.
Yep, right. Yep, and that was basically when, like, I was feeling, and my friends sent me this. Oh, Rich, 28-3 is trending on Twitter. I'm like, nope, don't even put that thought into my head right now. Do not put that thought in my head. I'm like,
Mahomes ain't no Brady.
No, I don't know if you saw the soundbite. The Chiefs players are like, oh, the Patriots did this before and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you ain't the Patriots.
No. And everybody's like, and we'll get to like the post-game backlash, but I wanted to just share a couple of these little highlights with you. I mean, I don't know if we have any other that I really want to kind of go over because he really didn't turn it over much. But
Well, it was 34-0 at one point. So what was the score in the third quarter? That
well,
put
this
us
is
at
right now. Here we go.
34-0.
Here we go. So Isaiah Rodgers breaks it up on 4th and 5 with less than 3 minutes in the third. But the very next play, my dad calls us. He's like, watch, you're going to take a shot downfield. And what happens?
There he is. Hurts in the backfield.
Just enough
heaves
time,
up.
and he's got a step.
Zing! Right
Knockout.
into the end zone.
Knockout.
Touchdown.
Knockout.
34-0.
That was when I knew. I'm like, knockout punch.
Yeah, that's when it was over. It was. I didn't want to say it because your Uncle Al a couple times, told me, be careful what you say.
Yeah.
And I saw,
Yep.
But at that point, near the end of the third quarter, 34-0, I'm like, nah, this is over.
No, I was so after that pick 6 happened, I went up. I'm not even kidding you. I went up and got this nice strawberry, blueberry, vanilla cream cake. I can't speak to that. It's okay.
You were getting dessert.
I was getting dessert because I'm like, it is wraps. And I think that when I look at that Super Bowl, I'm like, this was as bad. This was probably worse than Tampa. Or at least
way worse than Tampa.
I would argue it was worse.
Well, the beatdown was at a different level than what Tampa did. Listen, what Brady and Tampa did to them 4 years ago was great.
Yeah.
I loved it, okay?
Yep.
That was my crossover year where I stopped being a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
And I never liked Mahomes, okay? But I was a Chiefs fan for 28 years. That was my first season, or end of that season, turning my back on them. And I loved that beatdown, but this one was an epic beatdown.
Yeah. And
epic beatdown.
Yeah.
Beatdown of the bandwagons.
Yeah. Now, like, see, Pat, too, we talked about this in an earlier episode. They tried to sweep up that game with Tampa because, we had no offensive line. And,
all the excuses.
They tried to make, they made a highlight compilation of all the throws he was throwing across his body, falling away. And it's but they tried to really dust that away from our minds in NFL history. Oh, no, you can't erase history.
No.
Now you got, not one, Pat, we got two of the same type of beatdown. You can't erase that.
That's right. Rushing 4 men, not even a bunch of blitz packages, 4 guys up front, just decimating your O-line.
But not only that, right? Fangio and them didn't even blitz in this game.
Yeah.
Todd Bowles is known as a blitzing coach, right? From Tampa. I think Tampa blitzed more in that game because Todd Bowles is stopped, but they did mostly play.
They did, but it was mostly 4 guys up front.
Yes, and basically 2 safeties deep and stuff like that. That's kind of what they did. Because they didn't want Tyreek Hill to drop almost like over 200 yards in the first quarter, which that was the first time the Chiefs and Tampa met that season. So
27-9 that Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
31-9.
Now this was like, I mean, everybody knows that was a 40-6 beatdown.
Actually, the point deficit in the first Super Bowl that the Chiefs lost was even bigger than this one because they had these garbage points at the end of the game, which I
don't count
honestly
that.
think Philly's defense just took their foot off the gas a little.
Yeah.
Not that they purposely let them score, but they were like, they're not going to win this game.
Yeah.
Why are we going to hurt somebody to go out of our way to really try to stop them? They were garbage points because you know what the real score of that Super Bowl was? 40-6.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah.
40-6.
Yep.
That was actually the score that should have been the end of the game.
Yep.
Those were 16 garbage points at
Yep.
the end of that game to bring it to an 18-point deficit.
Yeah.
It was actually a bigger deficit with Tampa.
Yep.
I think it was 22 points.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So
31-9.
Yep. So
3
now,
field goals.
they didn't even get in the end zone. They didn't even get in the end zone.
Oh, I know. 3 field goals.
Yeah. So now, let's get into basically this conversation that you and I need to end once and for all. Okay? We need to get all the bad takes out of here. Okay? We need to get them out. Okay? This is ridiculous what I heard. Okay? Now, I have heard people say, that they're giving him heat, right? But we're going to throw all your terrible takes in here, your 3-peat hopes. Goodbye.
Bye,
okay?
3P.
Do you want tissues, Chief Bandwagons? Do you want to
Aw,
cry?
I'm crying,
I mean, here,
baby.
you take one. Take one.
Chiefs
It's all yours.
bandwagons, you're in tears.
Okay. Now, listen. There's people out there like Ryan Clark. There's people out there on Twitter. I think Arrowhead Adams, one guy. Lance the Spoken. Okay. Red Tribe Cinema. Okay. Yeah, I'm calling you people out by names. I kept receipts. Okay. Oh, my team's going to actually pull off a 3P. Yeah, I remembered. And I said, oh, I can't wait for this. And I even tagged you in my Twitter post for this launch time. I'm going to do it again. I'm adding more this time. Okay? Because the fact that, the GOAT conversation's not over. Oh, you know what? I'm going to let you go first. Why don't you end the GOAT convo for me? I'm going to sit back and let you talk, Pat. Because I want them to hear you first before I chime in.
The GOAT conversation was illegitimate all along. It was just a stupid ESPN and Nick Wright and all these dumbass talk shows that just wanted to have their little poster boy. Okay? There was never a real GOAT conversation. It was propaganda that they were making up because they just wanted to have their new little poster child. And I wouldn't doubt Roger Goodell was behind pushing that. Okay? Mahomes was never close to Brady. Never anywhere near him. Okay? I don't care if he was in 5 Super Bowls in a 6-year period. You got destroyed in 2 of them. Destroyed. What were the numbers, Richie? The deficit numbers. Tell us what the deficit numbers were.
Okay.
For Brady and for Mahomes in their Super Bowl, respective Super Bowl losses.
Okay. In the 3 losses that Tom Brady had combined, the point deficit was 15 points.
15 total points in 3 Super Bowl losses. That's an average of 5 points per game.
Okay.
Which is less than a touchdown.
Now, in the 2 Super Bowl losses that Mahomes has had, the point deficit was minus 40. 40. Pretty big gap there.
Yeah.
Okay? Pretty big gap there.
Yeah. And that's in 2 Super Bowl losses. 40. That's an average of 20 points a game. And that's just about what it was. 22 in one and 18 in the other. Blown out the door. No baby GOAT.
No.
Nope.
No. You want to keep going, or you
No,
want
I'm good.
Okay. I'm gonna
I
go.
could go on all day.
I know you can. I wanted to let you go first before I chime in. It was this game. Everybody's blaming Andy Reid for the gameplay. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve blame because that was, they looked like they did not adjust. It was comical to me.
Yeah, it was comical.
That Andy Reid is up there in the same conversation as Bill Belichick, Bill Walsh, Vince Lombardi, which, again, I'm going to be fair a little bit here. I can't put him as the best offensive mind ever. Why? Because Bill Walsh invented and made that same system that Andy Reid had. Andy Reid's taken it to a modern and, evolutionized it, of course, in his own right. But Bill Walsh made that system that Andy Reid's been running now with Mahomes. Now, he's incorporated other elements from different offenses. I'll give him that. But Bill Walsh invented the very same system that Andy Reid got hired from that same coaching tree. I can't give Andy Reid the best offensive mind over Bill Walsh. I can't.
No, well, go back to the Dick Vermeil days of the Kansas City Chiefs. He was their coach for a while, wasn't he?
He was there from, I think, 2001.
With Trent Green.
Yes, 2000,
Okay.
2001.
They had the highest scoring offense in the league. I'm going to say it was either the 2002 season or 2003 season.
Yeah, that's the one.
Kansas City Chiefs, highest scoring offense in the league. In fact, they went 9-0 that season before they finally lost a game in Week 10 or Week 11. I don't know if they had a bye week yet, to the Cincinnati Bengals, who were awful at the time. And you think about what Dick Vermeil did with the Rams. Andy Reid never made this Chiefs look like that.
Well, they were trying it. They were
trying, but it never happened.
I mean, they made it seem
not like that.
They made it seem like, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, and Kelsey were basically the greatest show on turf for all that.
They weren't the greatest show on turf.
No, they were not.
They were
No.
not.
No.
They were not.
No. And I remember that first Super Bowl, they basically compared that Chiefs offense, basically to that offense as far as speed and stuff like that. But
No, the Chiefs' offense looked like that in that 2003 season. Or 2002, I'm not sure which one it was, when Dick Vermeil was their coach and Trent Green was their quarterback.
Right.
They did look like that. They looked like the Rams. The only problem was their defense was even worse than the Rams' defense was that year. Remember the Rams that year? Or you were...
Well, I was a year old. I mean, I'm watching old NFL films clips and stuff like that.
52-38, 48-35. They were letting points up all over the place, but they scored so much. It didn't matter how bad their defense was. Chiefs had the same thing, but not under Andy Reid. They had it under Dick Vermeil, except their defense was even worse than the Rams' defense was.
Yep. But anyway.
We're getting off the subject.
Yes, we are. But anyway, bandwagons.
Bandwagons.
You can blame Andy Reid all you want. You can blame your little makeshift offensive line, which Joe Thuney, by the way, was a guy you got from my team, the Patriots. And he had a chance to go get 5. Very good guard for us, really. He did good at tackle before this game, but there's a reason he's a guard and not a tackle. Okay? And I like Joe Thuney, even though he's on the Chiefs, because he used to play for us and won Super Bowls for us, right? You can blame your makeshift offensive line all you want. You can blame all your receivers. Wait. So you mean to tell me DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, who did good a little bit for a splash of plays before, Mahomes had no time to make a play. You're going to tell me even washed up Travis Kelce you guys are all claiming? You're going to tell me that offense and those receivers, they were worse than what Brady had those first 3 years? Stop. I don't want to hear, don't blame them, because Hollywood Brown made some catches against the Bills. Oh, but we're going to look at the one game with the Eagles. Kelce looked pretty good against the Texans when they needed him to. The last 2 games, yeah, he got doubled. That's what great players happen. When you take away your best, then what happens? Well, Juju Smith-Schuster did pretty good for you in the Bills game, right? Xavier Worthy was a guy you loved getting the ball to. You still found a way to get him the ball in the Bills game, and then he showed up in garbage time. But I'm sorry, I'm not falling for that. Hopkins scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Oh, but they were bad and they're not good receivers. Stop.
Yes.
Stop. I don't that is horribly put excuses together.
No, the Eagles' defense was that dominating. Okay, the Chiefs met their match.
Yep.
They met their match. In the end, when they had to play against a top-notch defense, they're not as good as you bandwagons all want to claim that they are.
No.
That's what it comes down to. In fact, they looked like a poor high school team. They looked like Rutgers football team was back in the 90s when they were one of the worst teams in college football. Remember that?
I mean, I heard they
horrible.
were bad. Yeah, I heard
they were
bad.
horrible. That's what it looked like. It looked like the Keystone Cops running around.
I mean, now, yeah, so that was just basically the offense in a nutshell, right? What sucks, though, what's funny is the defense actually played pretty decent for the most part. Pretty decent. They had the one field goal. The one touchdown, they kind of made him work his way up a little bit, Hurts and stuff like that. But, they gave up their plays, but they came to play a little bit, compared to the offense.
A little bit, yeah, compared to the offense, yeah.
But even when that defense plays pretty good, their offense let them down, and your quarterback let them down. The so-called, the man who can do no wrong can get praised by the freaking analysts like he can do no wrong. Oh, no. The Bengals second half he did wrong. The Tampa Super Bowl, you could cover up masquerade with all his like diving athletic throws and arm angles like falling down. You can't cover this up now. This is twice in the big stage with the bright lights. This is twice.
Two
And
fucking
and
times.
I'm not forgetting the Joe Burrow game where he absolutely had a horrible second half. That was probably his worst game maybe at that point before this. This is his worst game in the Super Bowl that everybody's going to remember. Now, it was so bad. Stephen A. Smith said, and I quote, "We had to add Joe Montana back in the GOAT conversation." Here's the thing. Joe Montana never left the GOAT conversation.
That's right.
The media
Never
took
left
him
it.
out. The media took him out. We didn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
You did, media. You freaking talking heads. You took him out. We never did. I never did. I never put him top 10 on my list. I never did.
Joe Montana was the reason that I became a Chiefs fan 30 years ago when I used to be a Chiefs fan. It was Joe Montana. It was his last season there when I started watching football.
Yep.
Joe's never been out of the conversation.
No. And he was, and I told you when I made my list, he was the standard before Tom Brady broke through with the 28-3 comeback, got 5, and before Seattle too, where came back down 10 in the 4th, and he ended up winning. Now people are going to be like, well, Seattle was banged up. No, if they played with the jersey name on the back, they're playing. Okay, I don't want to hear injury excuses like that. They still look fine. Oh, but they had injuries. No, I don't want to hear that for Brady for that whole thing to diminish Brady beating up an injured Legion of Boom. The Falcons defense wasn't that good. Well, they were pretty good in the first half, lighting up freaking 21 points or 14 points in that first half, and they lit up 21 before 28-3 happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that crap. That was a hot defense going into the playoffs. That defense. No, I'm not buying
Well,
that.
the bandwagons are going to always make excuses. I've been watching Nick Wright do it for the last week.
Yep.
Nick Wright.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Nick Wright.
Yes.
First things first, Nick Wright.
I call him the head of the snake, and we're there for it. We're there for the head of the snake. I was waiting.
The head of the snake.
He's ducks my tweets. That's okay. I'm a nobody, right? I'm a nobody that he doesn't want to hear. We're a low level show, but we're building up, okay? Oh, did I love that little choir that they put on him saying, Tom Brady is the GOAT. I said that to you and I was laughing. I'm like, oh, justice got served. And then after all this take of, if he wins, he's the greatest player in the history of the league. Oh, so how quick you wanted and hoped that was going to happen. But yet the very same game, it was the polar opposite. It did not even happen. He looked like the shittiest player out on the fucking field, man. Are you kidding me?
Mahomes Mountain. That's stupid Nick Wright's famous thing. Mahomes Mountain. He got knocked right off the mountain. It was like a landslide.
He didn't even get knocked off. He got thrown off the mountain.
He got thrown off the mountain.
Yeah. He got thrown off. Okay? So, I just want to say this, too. They want to make excuses about the line play. Do people remember Super Bowl 42 with the undefeated Patriots line? We never made excuses about that. Why? Because it was a 3-point game.
Yeah.
This was a 34-point game minus the garbage time points, but it was really a 34-point game.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to still blame the line like we did against fucking Tampa, like we did against, now they're doing against the Eagles.
There's always going to be an excuse. I
don't want to hear it because the same exact thing happened. It you can't fool me once, fool me twice. Oh no! You're not fooling me twice. We saw how bad he was. We saw how bad he was. It was so bad he couldn't overcome a bad line. Tom Brady basically overcame a tough offensive line performance because he threw a go-ahead touchdown to Randy Moss with less than 3 minutes in the Super Bowl. And really, if you think about it, a helmet catch beat him.
Yeah.
Think about it. He came back from that. The Eagles, for the most part, it was a strip sack away basically from him coming back and throwing for the most yards in a Super Bowl. He threw for 505 yards. He overcame that.
Yeah.
I mean, why can't your quote unquote baby goat do it?
Baby
why?
goat. The baby
why?
goat.
You guys claim he can't do no wrong. Why? Why are we so? Oh, get this. I saw a tweet of these bandwagons mad about how the media narrative is shifting. Oh no! You're not gonna pull that with me and him here.
Nope, ain't doing it.
Because guess what? That same media narrative that said Mahomes did no wrong, ain't nobody had a complaint on that side, bandwagons.
Bandwagons.
But the one time he has a bad game, you're mad at how it was shifted against him. And for us, no, you're not going to pull that. You got every media company, ESPN's, the First Things First,
FS1.
Okay, all of them bowed down to him like he was some king and some god, and he could do no wrong, and that he was basically the next best thing since the freaking Microsoft computer with Bill Gates and stuff, right? But now the one time he has a bad game, you're mad at how it's spinned on you. No, it was a fact of how bad he got blown out twice. And don't forget the Joe Burrow game where he stunk it up in the second half. He threw some bad interceptions in that game. He blew them that game. You're not going to erase that from us. And the biggest nail on the coffin is this: when Tom Brady lost the Super Bowl, they bashed him the next day. They did.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: the standards have changed in the media. When Tom Brady had three Super Bowl wins and he had those 2 losses to the Giants, all the old heads in the media said, he cannot be in the GOAT conversation until he gets 4 rings. You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When he won 4, they allowed it to happen. Why can't we hold Mahomes to the same standard as Tom Brady? Oh, because he can't catch 7 rings. Nobody will ever catch that. So now you want to move the goalpost. Oh, he's got to get 5. Oh, he's got to get the 3 people help get him in there. See how we're moving the narratives, Pat? We're moving the goalpost because they want to put this kid ahead of Brady. The real people that know football will never put him ahead. Will never put him ahead.
Oh yeah, they want it. They absolutely want it. And I have my suspicions why, which I'm not going to elaborate on this show. But I have my suspicions why.
That's okay. I don't want this to get. We're trying to build a fan base.
Yeah.
So you've been a huge part of it.
I know.
Okay, but here's the thing: they bashed Tom Brady when he lost. Yet the general public had no problem. Okay, New England fans, I don't think had that much of a problem with it at the time because social media wasn't as big as it is now. Now in the social media,
you got a point there.
Now in the social media era, every Chiefs fan's got a problem with how we're blaming Mahomes. Well, guess what, bandwagons? I said on this show, we're not going to let anything slide. We will bash him because that's what the old media did, and I'm not giving that up. I'm going to bash him every time he loses. He has a bad game. And guess what? You really thought your little crybaby freaking tantrum. He should have never won a Super Bowl after what he pulled with Josh Allen in that game. I sent you that little clip of him throwing a tantrum.
Oh,
we all saw it on TV.
Yeah.
We all saw that on TV. He got a Super Bowl basically after rewarding and getting a crybaby. Now, full circle, it's come back. No more. Did Tom Brady ever crybaby like that moment on a national television station?
No.
No, he did not.
Oh, I remember that.
No, he did not.
Cried like a little bitch.
So guess what? Now you guys want to get mad the narrative shifts and stuff like that. No, you had the narrative on your side. You're mad the one time now you can't accept he played awful in 2 Super Bowls, yet one of them was against
2
Tom
Super
Brady.
Bowls, bandwagons. 2.
One of those Super Bowls was against
One
Tom.
of them against the real GOAT.
Okay.
The real GOAT.
So now let me put the real nail in the coffin. My friends out there that are LeBron James fans, they want to put him ahead of Michael Jordan. I personally will not. But here's one thing that debate does not have, that we actually have with our own 2 eyes and with real history matchups. Mahomes against Tom Brady in the postseason is, Pat, remind me, what is he in the postseason? Do you know it?
In the postseason?
And including the Super Bowls.
I believe they said that Brady had enough games in the postseason to equate to a whole regular season of football.
No, but I'm saying the head-to-head matchup with Mahomes. What's Brady's record against Mahomes in the postseason?
Head-to-head matchup in the postseason, I believe it's 2-0.
Oh!
2-0.
So it's
Yeah,
not one,
yeah.
it's 2.
And
It's 2. Okay?
2.
This is not like we never saw LeBron James and Michael Jordan play head-to-head, but we got this head-to-head. Now once, twice. And Brady beat him twice in an AFC Championship game
and in the Super Bowl.
In his 40s, Pat.
Yeah, in his 40s on a team he just went to. His first season in a new system with a new coach.
I mean, and people want to claim, oh, Brady was old, but Mahomes wasn't in his prime. No! He was in his prime. Because he sat under a year in Andy Reid's offense. He was in his prime. You want to diminish him and then say, oh, but Brady was old. You can't have it both ways. He beat him head-to-head. It was a known fact. We saw it, and there's videos on it. Go look it up. 2-0. Case closed. It's done. It's done.
I love it. You know how long I've been waiting to be sitting here next to this guy doing this? We waited all football season.
We waited
for
3
this.
years, Pat.
We waited 3 years, but we really been
years.
waiting this whole season. We've been waiting for
Yep.
this bandwagon.
I said I was going to have a very special celebration for you. And I had to get him on over. I had to get him here. Because I told you, the day you lose, you're going to have to deal with me and him being insufferable.
That's right.
Okay?
You lost a week ago today. You went
And we're not going to
down.
let you have it because of your lame excuses you want to pile on. See, if you guys were real fans and took the loss pretty straight up, which, I mean, I know we hate Nick Wright. He took it pretty good, you know. But we're not going to let him off the hook easy for pushing this narrative. This case, he's never going to be ahead of Brady. This combo's over. Brady never got blown out in a Super Bowl to this magnitude. Ever.
No.
Ever. Not even twice.
No.
Ever. Okay? Joe Montana never got blown out in a Super Bowl this bad.
Nope.
He blew out freaking John Elway. He basically handled Dan Marino. 2 Hall of Fame level quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So, you're down behind those two. Now, you're at best case playing for maybe third. If you want to put your career ahead of the side, you're basically playing for third. Now, I'm not. Now, again, I love Peyton Manning. Obviously, was Brady's rival. I watched him a lot growing up. Okay, I wouldn't even put him ahead of Peyton Manning, even though Peyton Manning had a horrible Super Bowl against Seattle when I told you they had the #1 offense, most passing yards ever, most total yards ever, 3 1,000-yard receivers. Manning threw for 55 touchdowns, over 5,000, almost 5,500 passing yards, really. Okay, but Seattle's defense, that was another great Super Bowl performance where they really almost shut him out, except for a garbage time. I wouldn't even say garbage time touchdown. It was a third quarter touchdown in the end to
Are we
Demaryius.
talking about 43-8?
Yeah, but like Peyton Manning got blown out in the Super Bowl. John Elway got blown out 3 times.
No, Peyton Manning was he was getting older. He was done. He was done early. He was done by the time he was 37. He deteriorated.
Well, that was the game that basically made Manning not really the same in that game.
But you know what Peyton Manning had that Patrick Mahomes will never have? He was an offensive coordinator on the field. His pre-snap abilities equaled that of Brady, because Brady was a pre-snap guy too.
Yeah.
Equaled them.
Yep.
Equaled them.
Yes.
Not going to say
Yes.
better one better than the other, but in that conversation, and I put Brady ahead of Manning. Brady is the GOAT, and he always will be.
Yes.
But as far as pre-snap mind, you know, Peyton Manning was right there.
Yep.
And I got something else to say about the baby GOAT, okay? I've been watching this guy when he runs the football all season with the defenders on the opposing team running alongside of him, but never actually trying to hit him. And Mahomes doesn't look like he runs that fast. He's not a Lamar Jackson.
No.
He's more runs the way Kelsey runs when he catches a ball. You ever see the way Kelsey runs when he catches a ball? Like a big lumbering kind of. That's how Mahomes looks when he takes off with the ball, because he's got no one to throw it to. And I watched defender after defender all season long. And for the last couple of years, they run alongside of him, almost like they're afraid to hit him. I've seen times when I'm like, you can hit this guy. You can tackle him, because of these rules that they made with these roughing the passer. And Mahomes was purposely trying to draw those flags. Purposely. So he ain't all that. Your baby GOAT ain't all that.
2 points on that. They're trying to act, like when Adam Schefter said that the league is looking to kind of ban that late slide that Mahomes does, right? Nick Wright and them were outraged, calling it bad journalism. No, it's not bad journalism, because there's actual video footage. You had Joe Buck and Troy Aikman complaining about some of the calls, and they're, you know, highly well-respected announcers that I love watching. Okay, if you got the point where they're saying, like, you know, you got them and outraging and disagreeing, something's wrong there. Okay, and those are highly respected broadcasters that I idolize. You know, when I try to be a sports broadcaster, okay. Right, so I idolize their opinion, and I'm like, dang, if they're outraged, yeah, there's something going on with that whole like late sliding stuff like that. And at the point like where you said, what are they supposed to do? This is my next point. Brady did get hit early in his career. People don't want to say it, but he did. You ever see compilations of the hits Tom Brady took?
I saw him get his leg broken at 5 after 1 in the afternoon, probably on the opening Sunday of, I don't remember what football season
2008.
it was. At your house.
2008.
Not this house.
Yeah.
The one before.
Right.
I was hanging out with your father.
Yep.
Got his leg broken.
Yeah, torn ACL.
And it was actually the Kansas City Chiefs that did it to him. Yeah, I've seen Brady get hit plenty. I saw Brady lose a whole season because of that. 3 plays, 4 plays into it was kind of like what happened to Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Yeah.
3rd or 4th play of the game.
Yep.
Opening Sunday. That was back when they still opened up on Labor Day weekend. It was before they waited a week after that.
But like, you ever see the compilations of the hits Brady took like throughout his career?
No, but I know he took plenty.
Okay, there's plenty for you to look up. I guarantee you, you're gonna look at those hits and be like, if they ever did that on Mahomes, they're getting thrown out of a game. They're gonna be suspended probably 5 games. Okay? So don't ever tell me, bandwagons, that Mahomes could take the same level of hits as Brady. That dude gets no hits compared to what Brady did.
They put roughing the passer calls against defenses just for barely touching his shoulder pad. Okay, I've seen contact that was, you could tell the defender really couldn't stop himself from running into him. That didn't even knock him over like this, okay, and flag, he didn't take anywhere near the amount of hits Brady took.
Yeah,
but he got that fucking ass beaten in this Super Bowl, didn't he?
Yeah, but also too, you never saw like Brady might complain a little about maybe like hits, like very little. You didn't even really see him like much. Maybe like if there was a guy like being held or something, okay, he'll get mad, but like not to the level where like Mahomes gets like mad as far as complaining and stuff like that. People really think that Brady complained more than Mahomes did as far as like calls and stuff like that, or when he got hit. No, he didn't. No, he did not. I don't remember at least that. I mean, honestly, and that's what the narrative they're trying to push on us. I did not ever see him really get mad about, him getting hit that bad. He got right up and took it.
Yes, he did. In fact, if I remember correctly, I had heard that Tom Brady used to take some type of special classes for getting knocked down, like to try to avoid getting hurt when getting knocked down. He actually
might have heard that.
Yeah. I don't remember what type of person it was. Might have been a martial arts instructor. Mm-hmm. Somebody was training him in how to fall down when you're being knocked over not to get hurt. This guy was serious, and he's the GOAT, and he always will be the GOAT. Yep. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, and he always will be.
Yeah, I mean, the last point I want to make on this is that, like, when I look at, like, what he, like the hits he took and stuff like that, like, Mahomes feels like every time he's, like, crying, like, pointing here, like, and he gets, like, when he gets flagged, he's like, yeah, throw it, like, right there. And I just feel like, some of these hits, I'm like, really, like, so, like, don't, like, the eras, Mahomes' era is much more softer, yet you want to put him ahead of Brady for Brady playing in the back half of a tough era in the early 2000s where you could actually still hit the quarterback before they invented all the rules changes in 2010, which I remember, by the way. That's where I'm like, you know what? Don't tell me that Brady never got hit that bad compared to Mahomes. Mahomes, if he took the hits that Brady would take, we'd be looking to get that guy boycott out of the league.
Some of you bandwagons don't even know what real football is, because most of you, well, I don't know about most of you, but a lot of them, they jumped on the bandwagon. That's why he calls you bandwagons, okay? Because you jumped on the Patrick Mahomes bandwagon.
So one year,
it's been promoted, it's been packaged, and it's been sold to you.
Saw one game where he played Brady real good, and that's when it all jumped low. And that was actually his first loss against Tom Brady in Foxborough. Walk-off field goal, Stephen Gostkowski, Week 6 of 2018. That's how my encyclopedia is in that mind. But you know what? But let's go to their bleak future. Okay. There's talk Travis Kelce might retire.
Yeah, like
Chris Jones got banged up in the neck, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
They're supposedly their top tackles are making over $25 million a year. And there's talk they're going to need to go get receivers. They're going to need to go address that offensive line.
They're not going to be.
And Mahomes cap it. You ready for this, Pat? I want to pull this up.
Pull it up.
Because I saw the numbers and I'm like, oh, he's going to restructure. So I want to show you this because I couldn't believe the numbers on this. Okay? I want to make sure I have the thing right here and correct because I saw a jump where it goes.
This is the end of the dynasty.
I was going to get to that as a question. This
is the end of your dynasty.
I was just going to show you because I was trying to make sure I had the right numbers here. But I believe, Pat, if I'm not mistaken, it goes from about, I don't think this is right, but 30. I think it's 25 million or something like that. I seen a tweet. This one's saying 37 million to $66 million cap hit. Think about a big jump of that magnitude. So he's going from $37 million a year to 66 million cap hit going into this season. I think it's 66, 55. I know it's somewhere around that number. That's a pretty big cap hit next season.
That is big.
Now, I think he's going to restructure. I do. But considering the magnitude of how they got beat, the bleak future that they have, is this the end of the Chiefs dynasty?
Yes, it is. I believe this is and I'll say it, this is the end of the Chiefs dynasty. This is it. It's over. And it was a bit of a dynasty. Nothing like the Patriots had. That was a 20-year dynasty. It had a slow period in the middle. It was heavy on the beginning and the end, but it was still a 20-year dynasty. Even the 10-year period that they weren't in Super Bowls, right? It was about 10 years, wasn't
10 years they didn't win a Super Bowl. They
Didn't win one.
Yeah.
Okay, they were still in one or two.
Yeah, yeah. That was the Giants Super Bowls in between
Right.
that they went to, but they lost.
This was a mini dynasty, and it's over, folks. It's done. Thank God. Because we can't hear any more about this. I don't want to hear any more dynasty talk and no more baby goat talk. The Chiefs dynasty is over, bandwagons. It's over.
I mean, he said it.
I said it.
I mean,
Yoham.
you know what? My old man said the same thing to me last Monday, right? And I said, "You really think so, Bob?" He's like, "Yeah, they're fucking done."
Yeah,
Kelsey's getting old. I think he's going to be 36 now.
37.
36, 37. I know he's 36.
Yeah, I think he's been in the league in
10 years easily.
No, I think it's like 12 actually.
Okay.
11 or 12.
Yeah, I think
he was talking about retiring 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember. I heard that leading up to the big game.
And he looked miserable in this game. He looked like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, and Chris Jones, I think, is in the second half of a big contract he just signed, right? And you know that neck injury, he didn't look good, right?
He got hurt a couple times this season.
So I feel like he's kind of going down a little bit, right? Mahomes is going now into his 30s, okay?
He's 29, going on 30.
So I feel like that, you know what? And they're talking about we need a big play, explosive running back. Well, you're going to have to go through some tough years ahead because the AFC now, they're looking at that Super Bowl going, all we need really is a front four and a disciplined secondary just to kind of give them fits. I mean, looking at the AFC, Buffalo was close to beating them, but I think their window might be closing as well a little bit, right? But there's talk they might get Myles Garrett from the Browns, a top edge rusher, okay? Baltimore, I don't think that I'm ever high on that team. I know Lamar Jackson's not good in the postseason. You can't expect that they're not going to make moves, okay?
Houston.
I like them. They're going to need a couple things, but again, they weren't healthy on the end, but I still think that's a very good team. Their own division has
The Chargers.
Jim Harbaugh's not going to go away. They're going to get
No.
Justin Herbert weapons, I would imagine. The Raiders got Pete Carroll, and they need a quarterback. And Russell Wilson might go to the Raiders.
Wait a minute. Pete Carroll went to the Raiders?
Yes.
He wasn't there this season, was he?
No,
Oh, wow. He's leaving the Seattle Seahawks?
for the Raiders.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
And Denver just went to the playoffs with Sean Payton and Bo Nix, and they have a top defense. And their salary cap hit isn't even that great. They still made the playoffs. So your division now has 4 great coaches. And me and my dad were talking. I think this is the best division all around with these great head coaches since the NFC East in the 80s with Tom Landry of the Cowboys, Joe Gibbs with the Washington Redskins at the time, Bill Parcells with the Giants, and then the Eagles, they had a shit coach, I think, in the early to mid 80s up until they got Buddy Ryan, until Buddy Ryan kind of made it from the mid 80s to the 91 when he got fired. So this might be the best division of great coaches. And you can make a case that if Jim Harbaugh does win, that could be a potential 4.
Oh, I think the Chiefs are going to be a wild card this year. I really do. I don't think they're going to even win the AFC West. They might, but I don't think so. The dynasty's over, folks. Your dynasty's over.
You know
You
what?
had your
I'm
5
going
years,
to take a
6 years,
page.
it's done.
I'm going to take a page out of Michael Rappaport's book when the Golden State Warriors beat the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 3rd time in, I want to say, 4 years.
Michael
And-
Rappaport.
Yeah, and they went back to back. So
Not
here's
the actor.
Yeah, he is.
The actor?
I'm gonna take a
Michael
page.
Rappaport?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a page out of his book. Ready? You could take your little big 3, your little fucking great Hall of Fame coach. You could take your fucking quote unquote great defensive coordinator and all that, and shove it right the fuck up your ass, motherfuckers. You're done. You're done.
You're
okay?
done.
Kiss that dynasty goodbye. Get
Goodbye.
it the fuck out. Okay? It is done. Take your big three and shove it right the fuck up your asses, bro. It's done. Okay? That's what I gotta say. Because now your dynasty, done.
Over.
Done.
See ya.
Done. Oh, Xavier Worthy. Oh, Pacheco.
Oh,
No.
Pacheco.
Good luck, because now the rough years are going to happen, and you got exposed twice. The whole league now has the blueprint of what Vic Fangio's masterpiece was.
That's right. I want to say something else to you bandwagons. Your team was so desperate to win, they just brought a wife beater or a woman beater back on the team. Didn't they? Wasn't Kareem Hunt kicked off the Kansas City Chiefs for punching a girl in the face in a hotel hallway? And it got
2018.
caught on camera because I saw it. And after he punched her in the face, it was a punch I wouldn't be able to take. I would have been knocked out cold. Then he started kicking her while she was on the ground. They put this guy back on the team. That's how desperate your team is to try to keep up this facade that there's some kind of dynasty, that they put a woman beater back on the team.
Yep. And now
I hope you don't mind that I brought that up.
Well,
I think that needed to be-
he did play what, I think 10 games at that 2018 season, which by the way was Mahomes' first season, and they cut him, and I think people realized that running back situation was not great in the end, because it was Damian Williams ended up becoming the replacement, who ended up becoming a big player for them. I want to say definitely by the next season in 2019 he helped them win the Super Bowl and stuff. But I think he didn't last long on that team. I think he was there for like another year or two, and then he got cut. So, again, like...
I was just shocked that they brought the guy back. They kicked him off the team.
Yeah,
they released him from the team for being
Yeah.
a violent animal.
And he was in Cleveland for like a little bit of years with splitting carries with
he
Nick
was.
Chubb. But like, I guess they were like, well, we need a running back, and that's that. But, like I said, he was, he knew the system, so I understood that reason.
No, I don't understand it. You know what? I don't get it. But anyway, regardless, your dynasty's over.
Yep.
Bandwagons.
Yep.
It's over.
It's-
He knows it. I know it. We know it. And now you know it.
Yep. Justice got served. And the best
Justice
part,
got
and the best part
served.
was the referees didn't decide the game because there was no game to decide. It was a blowout.
Yeah, the refs couldn't even do anything about it. There was nothing they could do if they wanted to, man. They couldn't cheat if they wanted to.
Yep.
Couldn't cheat your way out of this one, bandwagons.
Yep, this was absolutely great. So I'm like I said, this is probably the happiest offseason I've had probably since Bengals Rams, because I didn't care who won that Bengals Rams Super Bowl. I know you wanted the Bengals to win.
I wanted the Bengals to win only because they took the Chiefs out in the championship game, and I just wanted to see Joe Cool and company finish it off.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him finish it off because there was nothing better to me than to watch a Mahomes and you bandwagons get taken out in overtime. That was overtime, right?
And against the Bengals, yes.
Yeah, in that championship game.
Yep.
Nothing like it. I'll never forget it.
And Mahomes threw a pick in overtime on the first possession after they won the coin toss.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I feel like this is great. So now, let me ask you this. This is kind of like my follow-up question to kind of wrap up the bow on this Chiefs bandwagon thing. I hope, unless those bandwagons still have a response to our little thing.
Oh, we'll come back.
Who do you think in the AFC now, with the Chiefs dynasty over, who do you think now kind of takes that step to maybe representing, the AFC, maybe getting a Super Bowl to kind of push the conversation of maybe Mahomes might not be the best quarterback in the league. Maybe I can take that throne. You got Josh Allen. You've got Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow. The only thing I worry with the Bengals is they got to figure out a way to keep both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. There's a way they could do it from how the Eagles are able to keep contracts and stuff like that. Joe Burrow's in the AFC. Justin Herbert, they got to get weapons. C.J. Stroud's made the playoffs twice. And then you got a couple other young guys trying to make that step up, but
I'm thinking C.J. Stroud. Yeah.
over Josh Allen, over Lamar.
You know
over
what?
Joe.
Josh Allen's been knocking on the door for a long time. He's a great quarterback, but you can't keep taking a beating like he takes, the way he runs the ball. You can't go on like this forever. Not to take nothing away from him, but this Stroud kid, he's at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
And he's doing well. Joe Burrow could do it, but something intrinsically goes wrong with that team every now and then.
Yeah.
Like it did this year. How do you turn into the way they started their season this year with a quarterback like Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
How does this happen?
I guess because,
How does this happen? You know what? But it did. And it's not the first time.
No.
It's not the first time this has happened with them. I'm not going to say I don't trust Joe Burrow. I don't trust whoever's running that team, whether it's the head coach, the offensive coordinator. Defense, I don't know. I
No,
don't know because
well,
I don't know
defense is
enough
bad.
about the statistics. Defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
but I don't trust him.
I feel like Mike Brown, the owner, has been known to get into a lot of like matters with stuff like that, right? Because I remember when Carson Palmer had that situation where he wanted, I think it was, I don't know if it was a long-term contract, but him and Mike Brown, like Mike Brown would not trade Carson Palmer. And then, you know, he wanted to go to the Raiders. He ended up getting traded to the Raiders in 2010. That was one of my early years watching football. And Carson Palmer was pretty good for the Raiders when he did play. The Raiders just weren't like completely built.
Well,
a
the
team
Bengals had a great season with Carson Palmer going way back. When I say way back, I don't remember what years, but I think early 2000s.
Well,
Somewhere around that, where they actually beat the Steelers out, who were always winning that division. And they ended up having to play the Steelers in the playoffs. Steelers were a wild card.
Yeah, 05.
But then I think Palmer got hurt. Like I said, early 2000s.
It was 2005 in the wild card round.
That was the first time I ever saw the Bengals actually look like a real football team
Yeah.
in my time of watching football,
Yeah.
which started in 1994.
Yeah, so 2005 they played the Steelers at home in the 2005 wild card, and that's when Palmer got hurt.
And
like
he
you
got
said.
hurt, and that ended it.
Yeah.
And then they went back to being a garbage team again for
Yeah,
quite a number
and then
of years.
Andy Dalton, like he was good, but like you knew, like Andy Dalton and them, they just could never beat, you know, the J.J. Watt Texans back-to-back years, the Colts with Andrew Luck. I remember that Vontaze Burfict game. They could have had a chance to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Cincinnati in 2015, but a Vontaze Burfict hit on Antonio Brown kind of sealed their fate. Jeremy Hill fumble right before that. That's how I remember that game in the rain. That was another that was a physical rivalry, right? But then Joe Burrow comes along and he actually wins against the Raiders at home, beats Tennessee #1 seed on the road, and beats Mahomes in Arrowhead,
Joe Cool.
right?
That's what they were calling him.
And-
Remember? Joe Cool.
Yeah, and you know, he didn't play bad in the Super Bowl. He really didn't. It was just the Rams' defensive line overwhelmed that offensive line.
Well,
But yet,
they had Aaron Donald rushing on
Von
the
Miller,
edge. Von Miller.
Leonard Floyd was good, right? But Joe Burrow, see, another guy, he made it to within 4. They were 1 first down away from maybe, you know, potentially winning that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
On the end, he never ever complains about that offensive line.
No. But there's just something goes wrong with that team every year.
Yeah.
So what you were asking me initially was
Right.
who do I think's going to end up maybe not being the next dynasty, but being
Yeah.
that team that
Yeah.
represents the AFC in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I like the Texans. I don't see the Ravens and Lamar Jackson doing it. He's been knocking on the door for too long, too. He's no good in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't think that.
And these guys ain't going back. These Chiefs, bandwagons, your Chiefs aren't going to be in a Super Bowl again for at least 6 or 7 years. That's my prediction. You're going to be lucky if you get them in a Super Bowl by 2030. You'll be lucky.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I mean, again, I want T. Higgins to come to the Patriots. I really do. Okay, because I want to see what Vrabel does building around Drake May and stuff like that. But when I look at like teams that have beat them, right? Cincinnati's beaten them at least once in the playoffs, right? They've always had close games with them for the most part. So I have to put them respectively in. But they got to build. They got to build a defense #1. They got to be able to build an offensive line.
I'm talking your team.
No. I'm talking the Bengals. I'm saying
Bengals.
I said I want T. Higgins to come to my team because he's going to be a free agent. That's the only thing I mentioned with my team. However, I put the Bengals up there. Okay. You know, I would put the Bengals there. I know Buffalo's played close. I just think you're going to need more than like a better, you know, Myles Garrett to kind of move the needle. I feel like you're going to need more. It's something that you have to kind of get through psychologically.
I think your Patriots are going to become competitive again. I don't think it's going to be that long. I would say within 2 to 3 years.
Well, Vrabel has given Mahomes fits at times, which I like. And I feel like that, you know, Drake May, that rookie contract is a very valuable window that you have to take advantage of.
That's right.
And that's why I feel like the Bengals, that they had to pay Burrow. Now they're stuck paying Chase and Higgins. That's a prime example, right? Okay, now, again, like that rookie contract's a very valuable window. I mean,
Drake May looked good.
yeah, I would say
He looks very promising.
I can't say that. I want to just see, like, I'm happy next year if they get 8-9 wins. Okay, do I think they could sneaky be a playoff team? Maybe, but again, I got to see off-season moves. I'm not going to go to that conclusion yet, right? I look at, you know, teams like, I'm looking at like, the Chargers. I think Jim Harbaugh went to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. I think if Justin Herbert gets weapons, I think they can make a serious, cases making something around. That defense was pretty good. Now, Khalil Mack's getting old, yes. Joey Bosa's getting injury prone and old, yes. They can fill their needs. Jim Harbaugh knows how to build a team in the physical trenches, which is what he's been good at, right? Sean Payton, I'm not saying Denver's going to make the Super Bowl with Bo Nix, but hell, if Joe Flacco and Nick Foles made it, Bo Nix maybe can make it if you put good enough pieces, but they're in salary cap. Hell, they got to trust the draft and develop process, right? I just think that there are teams in the AFC that can do it. If you're asking me who I trust the most right now, without any offseason moves, I'd lean Buffalo and I'd lean Baltimore because they have teams that are equipped to do it. I don't trust that either quarterback, Josh Allen a little bit more than Lamar psychologically, that can go toe-to-toe with Mahomes. Now, what teams that can make all-season moves? The Chargers and the Bengals come to mind. And the Texans, I think, if they can stay healthy.
I like Houston.
I do too. I
like Houston.
But again, they got another rookie quarterback contract right now, so Stroud's going into year 3. So you got 3 more years of C.J. Stroud on that rookie deal. You got to take advantage of that, and they've got the tools to do it. They just got to help them offensive line-wise. Offensive coordinator, I thought they would have got Chip Kelly, who just went to the Raiders as well as an OC. I would have loved that pairing with Chip Kelly and C.J. Stroud, but they didn't get him as an offensive coordinator. But, again, it's okay. I thought that would have been really huge to move the needle a little bit. But I would say those 3 to 4 teams, I would put the Bengals if they can keep Chase and Higgins, but I'm going to go with those 4-5 teams that I think can give the Chiefs problems. Now, I think, there's teams that, again, if they have a great offseason, if they can really land a great, fit and stuff like that, they have a chance. I'm not getting my hopes up, though. I think there's 4 or 5 teams that could give the Chiefs problems.
There you have it. Yeah.
So, this NFL season has flown by. It's done already, but I'm glad that we were able to have our final Super Bowl thoughts. Pat, you've made the most appearances this year in Loungetime. I think you've set a new record.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Honored.
Honored to be a Loungetime guest 3 times in one season. Imagine that. He
We'll
me.
We'll have you back. I'm confident.
Oh, I'll be back.
But
I'll be back next football season.
It's been fun this football season. I will do my NFL draft mock draft at some point in maybe April, right before the draft starts. That's what I like to do. I'll probably end up doing that, but later. Now, Loungetime's going to take on a new chapter for once. We're going to start trying college basketball for a change because the March Madness tournament's coming up. I can't wait to make my bracket predictions. I want to talk conference tournaments. I want to talk about my Gonzaga Bulldogs. That's my team I'm going to root for because I want Mark Few to win a national championship. We're going to have a lot to talk about for college basketball. And no, not the college basketball team I cover for my college radio station. We're not doing them. Okay, I'm talking the actual March Madness tournament from the men's game because that's what I know more, actually. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you my brackets, who I have. We will have upsets because this is probably the most wide-open college basketball year in a long time. I'm probably going to get the NBA nerd, my buddy Joey, to talk the post-trade deadline talks, see who he thinks can win the NBA championship. That's something that I know I have friends in the NBA that want to talk about the NBA, so we're going to have that. And then I'll have a little break after that because that way I can make whatever changes Loungetime is going to need to do. There's good changes, don't worry, but there might be some changes that I'm going to have to make in a good way. So this NFL season's done for now, but I hope you guys all enjoy a great NFL offseason, and I will be back with the preseason episode for football. But if you want to stick around for college basketball content, for some NBA content, I'll let you guys know when we have an episode. But until then, enjoy your NFL offseason, and I will see you guys down the road in the future for college basketball content or for NBA content. Have a great NFL offseason, everybody.
So long, bandwagons.